a little higher. Yeah, perfect. There you go. What is up? It's your boy Jonni.shreve. I have BB Promise to tell like it is, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Coaching Up. This time we got another amazing Canadian. I'm just gonna put it out there. Us Canucks, we rock. You got Greg Doucette, More Place for Days, Derek, Regan Grimes, Chris Bumstead, myself, Tristan Lee, Fuad. I mean, there's a ton of us. We're just awesome. Sorry. Anyway, today, guys, we're actually coaching up. Regan Grimes, he's about 16 weeks out from Olympia because he already has Olympia qualification from last year. He is with another Canadian legend, Mike Van Wyck. I want to go through this workout and go through some of the cues that he's giving. Some of the cues that I give too, we speak in a different language, but we're saying the same thing. So yes, I'm gonna say right now, he's giving you some good cues to give you some nice boulder shoulders. Anyway, guys, let's start this video off and let's see what we can get.
Yeah, really control here though, smooth. So stop here, stop in here, and ease out on it. Lift that chest as you ease out.
So right away, given that cue that he's telling you, ease out. Ease out basically means when you're moving and doing rear delts, there's a lot of habit of people just swinging the weight out. They're just trying to like yank it out. And that delt muscle is tiny. I don't know if you guys saw my live video I did the other day when I was doing shoulders, but that's not a big muscle. That's one that needs a lot of focus and the one that's really overlooked. So when you're doing rear delt flies, especially on the pec deck machine, Mike means engaging your delts by keeping your chest up and opening up your chest cavity at the same time as having that horizontal abduction. So instead of just tossing the weight out like this and just doing that, he wants to ease out, getting every single part of that lift. I had a call the other day and I was telling the guy, you know how many reps people miss by just missing that 2 to 3 inches of every lift? That every time they go right past a certain part, then they swing back in. Those first 3 inches of that lift are important because that's your delt pulling that shoulder back. So he says, ease out, take your arms and chest up and pull. Don't just swing it out. That means you don't have to load the weight either. Regan Grimes is a big dude and he's not piling the weight on here. I love how Mike Wyck's actually giving him the cues to properly just ease on the weight. And that makes the rep that much harder. What do they say, guys? You want to make a rep hard, contract it, make it harder. That's basically it, guys. Let's keep watching.
Lift that chest and fall back a bit.
Right? Open the chest up and fall back. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to have your chest down just trying to pull this way. You want to open your chest up and fall back into it. Perfect. So now we're moving on to chest support. Now you can do this with a cable. If you don't have this machine, they got dope machines at Pure Muscle Fitness. But if you don't have this machine, you can do this with incline chest support dumbbells, or you can line up in the cable machine and do the same thing. Let's watch.
So turn that palm and push off. Just push off that meat right there. Arm bent a bit. There you go. Just spread, sweep across, not out. Across.
Good.
Like you're skimming the floor. Get off the start. There you go.
Right? The rhythm and the tempo is perfect.
Push out. Yeah, don't shrug. Push wide.
Boom.
Yeah, push wide.
Push wide. We're gonna talk about 2 things. Hand placements on both the movements he just did. So if you wanna isolate the rear delt, you wanna have a hand in a pronated position. Now when he goes into the chest support machine reverse flies, what he's doing there is he's isolating even more by just turning it even more. If you can see my shoulder when I do this, I'm putting a lot more emphasis on the rear delt. Now when it says pull wide, I love that cue because that's a cue that everyone needs to understand. When we push our arms away from our body, we're forcing the delt to work more and getting the rhomboids and the traps to work less. Because we're like this, we're gonna try and pull out with our traps or the rhomboids and pull like this. When you're pulling away, I always say, push your hands away from your body like you're trying to touch the sides of the room the entire time you're doing the movement. So you're not just kind of shrugging up here. Now it's good to also give that nice bend in the arm cue because you do want to have a slight little bend. You don't want to have your arm locked out and have your tricep just flaring off the whole time. You want to have a tiny little bend in your elbow, pinky up, and then pulling the weight away. Just doing this and pushing the weight away, I can feel my delt working and I have no weight on. Now load up the weight, you're gonna have your rear delts firing off like crazy. So let's continue to watch.
Wow. Doing the rear delts, like being in the fully stretched position, not like coming back here and using your traps and everything to pull.
Exactly.
Leaves you
a lot more like emphasis on this, just on the rear delt. So
Listen, me and Green guys, we all compete against myself, Regan, Chris Bumstead, all in one call. 2015. It was a 17-minute call out. It was effing painful. They all remember it was probably one of the hardest calls I've ever had in my life. Either way, this guy's a vet and he's still learning. If you guys want to get better, you have to be willing to learn more and more and more. Even myself, even coaching myself, I can still learn. Be willing to learn. The second you think you know too much is when you know nothing at all. It's a good song, actually. That's that, what do you call it? Erykah Badu. Y'all know not about Erykah Badu.
The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all.
Anyway, let's go to the next movement. We got seated dumbbell press.
then what we just did, like it hurts deep, this type of training, which is really good.
All these people, like it's great to lift heavy and it's great to do like, oh, I did 3 sets of 4 and I incrementally went up and I did this stuff, but it's like there's different styles to training and there's different ways to do things and there's a million ways to skin a cat, right? So this is how I train and it's what I've seen works in terms of like blood volume and getting the muscle fully engorged.
So what we have here is we have them doing a very high incline, not fully 90 degrees, but a little high incline. And that's to force a lot of weight on his front delts. That's what we're doing here. These guys are doing a version of the press that's gonna give you a lot more emphasis on the front delt. So if you can see what he's doing, he has a little bit of an angle on his hands, right? Hand placement is going to dictate a lot of where that load is on the shoulder. Now again, he's in a very, very high incline, still hitting the front delts, but to hit it even more, he's getting a little bit of that angle in here, almost like a really wide V. So when he's pressing, that's gonna go onto that front delt, not on the chest as much, but way more on that front delt. And then going right to here to the side, and then he's doing a version of front lateral raises with a little bit of bend and coming up this way. A little wider with dumbbells is a lot heavier, right? And as long as you're not swinging profusely and then hyperextending, it's okay to have a little bit of a cheat inside of that movement when you're going up. Now, some of you guys are pulling inside here, you're getting a lot more of a chest help. What's the difference? Well, when we're out this way, we're putting a lot more emphasis on the interior or that front delt. The closer we bring our hands in this way, whether we're this way or this way, whether we're pronated or neutral, we're gonna gauge a lot more chest. Because again, your clavicle head of your chest is gonna help with shoulder adduction. The front delt does also assist with adduction, but we wanna get more of the emphasis on the front delt. So having a little bit of a wide grip this way, you're gonna have a lot more of your delt working than your chest.
This is how I train and it's what I've seen works in terms of like blood volume and getting the muscle fully engorged. Like if we don't get blood to the muscle, how do nutrients get there? How does it tear down? Like how do we keep, we're tearing down that muscle fiber throughout the whole set and we're doing it on a continuously lengthened basis. So the time under tension is massive, right?
Exactly. So what Mike's saying is completely true. And I love that he's saying that because another Canadian bodybuilder who's absolutely amazing, just gotta say. Anyway, the time under tension is gonna create the most amount of blood volume. Blood in the muscle is what we want. We wanna be in that zone as long as possible. I always talk about how quick can you get to your goals? Well, the person who is comfortable being in pain will get to the goals a lot faster because that is discomfort. Blood into the muscle, like the most amount of blood you get there cause lactic acid buildup. And if you stay in that zone with good form, you're just gonna annihilate that area. But we don't wanna like sit there and just put a load on it so much that we're doing 4 or 5 reps. Who cares? If you can do 4 to 5 reps with dumbbells and press and heavy weight, that's awesome. But how long are you sitting in that zone for? Yes, you're gonna create a little bit of growth, but not as much as you can, lighting the load and really staying in that zone a lot longer. So for you guys who wanna build muscle faster, get yourself in the zone, get the blood in the muscle as long as you can, a little bit longer sets. The weight doesn't have to be as heavy, but I'm not saying lighten the loads, you're sitting there doing 1,000 reps. They're doing a good enough amount of reps to create the most amount of blood volume into the muscle.
And,
Yeah.
but it's not
Way
over,
more
it's not
time.
it's not a time
Way
under
more.
tension where there's an overload of weight. It's just incremental weight. And the weight's almost getting a little bit lighter each time, but we're pushing through, we're getting more out of the muscle every time we go, right?
Like here we're burning for like over a minute.
Now, some of you guys are gonna probably ask like, well, when does it become cardio? It doesn't become cardio at that point, guys. You gotta understand when you give yourself a good enough amount of rest after you finish that set, it's still gonna be a good set to build a lot of muscle. So a lot of my sets sometimes last about a minute. If I'm doing a set for about a minute and I rest for 30 seconds, yeah, it becomes more cardio, and then I can't really put in the most amount of max effort into that next set. They're able to do incremental increases in weight and still able to maximize the set without exhausting themselves so much. So the rest in between sets like this is very important to make sure you rest long enough, but it also means to keep the volume high, keep the weight at a good enough amount of weight to exhaust yourself, but not resting too quick so you're making it cardio. Let's keep going.
We're going heavier. It's like I don't see these people who are dumbbell laddering 125-pound dumbbells. Where the fuck are they at? Like, how is 50 pounds not a lot on a dumbbell, like a dumbbell lateral?
Yeah.
Like, people
But it's
aren't.
funny, anyone that trains traditionally like that, like just straight sets, and you put them through a workout like this, they're smoked.
Yeah.
It's very true. You guys can actually go on my Instagram. There's a live video there, and I was doing some shoulder stuff there, some shoulder movements. I like to give my body different types of stimulus. Now, I'm not saying sit there and change all the time. I got athletes always asking me, hey, can we change the plan? I'm like, why change the plan if you haven't done this plan as optimal as possible? So those you guys are out there like trying to change your plan all the time, don't. You need to get to the basics and master the basics first before you start adding in stuff like this. I've done the same plan sometimes for like a year plus, the exact same plan. But I sometimes change up the rep schemes within my set. Some people say, is it good to train strength and hypertrophy? I'm like, strength and hypertrophy, they're one and the same. Hypertrophy causes strength, right? So when you're looking at doing a program, understand how to maximize the program first before you reach out to other types of, rep schemes. Drop sets, supersets, giant sets, monster sets, rest pause sets, cluster sets, all those things. Master the basics first before we get into this. Remember, these guys, these are two IFBB pros who have a lot of history and a lot of experience. Some of you guys out there don't have that much. Some of you guys only have like a year of training, period. These guys know their body. I know my body. You have to learn your body first before you start trying to trick your muscles.
So that's what gets them. But over time, they probably feel better because their joints are more lubricated.
Yeah.
They're getting more blood to the muscle.
And exactly, it's another good point he's making out too. Loading up the weight on things like your shoulders isn't necessary. Why? Because you're loading up your shoulders on a bunch of different other movements. If you're doing squats and you're in this position, you're loading the muscle up. If you're doing back, you're loading the shoulder up. If you're doing chest, you're loading the shoulder up. So there's really no point in just getting a ton of weight and trying to maximize lower reps and just, look at me, I can do 100-pound dumbbell. Who cares? That's not gonna benefit you. What it's gonna do is gonna bring you closer and closer to getting injured or having impingements one day. The best thing about doing shoulders is that you can get a weight that you can legitimately isolate the movement. You wanna feel just your shoulders working. That's it. Remember that. Again, I'm gonna talk about the pie chart. If we're doing shoulders, you want 80% of that pie chart to be shoulders, and then you want the rest of the 20% to be the other muscle groups that help isolate the shoulders.
Don't think over push, just think move.
Okay.
Move.
And now you guys are into a straight set, right? So after doing all of this, after doing the two types of rear delts, and then doing that giant set, now they're actually into your heavier sets, your straight sets. But at this time now, you don't have to load it up as much, right? The best thing about pre-exhausting shoulders, I find, is that we don't have to load the muscle up as much when we do our presses.
Relax. Yeah, you got it. Control. Yeah. Elbow in a bit. There you go. Yeah, man. Two, breathe. One. Down. 70. That was a good bang.
That's a bang.
70. Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Right now they're doing a drop set.
Try and keep that head forward a bit so we get that behind the neck feeling a bit.
Okay.
Just leave it where it's natural. Yeah, squeeze that back. Yeah, squeeze around. Come around.
There you go. Now, these are also good cues. Again, he's trying to hit a lot more of that lateral head while doing dumbbell shoulder press. How do we do that? The weight's gotta be on the side. The weights can't be here if we're trying to hit our rear head. And again, doing overhead press in a sense, sitting down doing dumbbells, that's the way to do it. Keeping your head straight, that nice neutral spine, and then pressing the weight up. Remember, I always give the example again. When you're pressing things, think about pushing yourself into the ground. We don't want to have your pressing and our traps doing this stuff, right? You want to press yourself into the ground. When I move, You don't know if I'm doing pushing or pulling. This part of your body should not be moving. From your clavicle all the way down to your hips. Should not be moving. Your shoulders should be staying. We call it, like when we play football, your pad shelf. Your pad shelf should stay straight. If I put a level on your shoulders, they should stay the exact same. They shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't have any shoulder elevation from your traps. Your traps shouldn't be doing anything in any pressing movement. The only time your traps should be really elevating is doing shrugs. Or like, you know, a little bit of help doing any of your lateral movements. Again, your traps have a little bit of help in that movement, but they don't have the majority of the help. A lot of you guys, when you're doing shoulder movements, you're using your traps way too much. And then you're like, man, my shoulders hurt. I got a pinched neck. My back's hurting. Something's wrong. Ugh, right? It's because we're using too much of this. Isolate this. Stop using so much of this. So don't do traps. Look at the show. Look at the time of the tension, right? These are isolated movements. Again, the reason why these are so hard for Regan right now is because the guy just focused his first 3/4 of his movements on the accessories, right? You can try this, guys. This is a good idea to try this with a weight that you can do and you can handle if you are advanced. I don't suggest doing this if you're not advanced. If you are a beginner, master the basics first. And then once you feel you can move on to those things, once you have good form, good control, time and attention, engaging your core, understanding the whole concept of why you're doing the certain thing you do in the first place instead of doing things for no rhyme or reason, then you can move up. But this is just a good video to show you guys of different cues he's using to help isolate the shoulders. And again, showing a IFBB pro here, not trying to load a bunch of weight up, trying to be cool in front of everybody, doing it for the gram. The TikTok, the tube talk tick. It was a TikTok tube. Tick tube gram. The gram tube talk. That's what it was. The gram tube talk. He ain't doing this shit for the gram tube talk. He's doing it because he's 16 weeks out for the Olympia and he wants to win a show. And he knows he needs to build his shoulders up more. And doing this and getting the most amount of blood in the muscle is what's going to do that.
One, down.
Good.
Oh, fuck. Oh my 60s. God. Don't be concerned with height. Here we go. Just get motion. Okay. The same motion you just did. So lean, lock those legs back. Lean over your toes. Big chest. Lean over, round this back. Go. Come on, just swing to me. Yeah, just one. Come on.
Right, this is a tough workout.
Breathe.
Now these guys are doing a monster drop set and then going from the presses and then dropping it from the front raises. Now the cue he's giving him to get his feet, his chin, his hips back a bit and his knees over his toes a bit and his chin over his toes to give him good contraction and a good posture. You gotta think about being like in a squat position where we can kind of load the glutes a bit to give ourselves a little momentum and leverage, right? If he's standing up straight and doing this, he's hyperextending. Why he's giving that cue is to give him a better posture with better posterior chain activation to isolate the shoulders more. He's doing 60-pound front raises, right? Again, this is Regan Grimes, not you guys, but these are good cues to give for you guys. So if you guys are doing standing lateral raises, standing front raises, we want to use, you should feel your glutes, your hamstrings in that position when you're standing. You shouldn't feel your lower back and you shouldn't feel your back doing anything. So when you're in this position again, knees bent, hips back, and here. This is a good position to be in when you're doing lateral raises. So we're not doing this kind of stuff. We're not doing that. We want to use a little bit of a hip drive, tiny hip drive to push the weight.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
All right. Look, he is in pain. He is in pain. Again, guys, you have to be willing to be in discomfort if you want to build the max amount of muscle that you can build. I had a phone consult the other day and I was talking about this exact same thing. If you want to build muscle as strong and as fast as you possibly can, you have to be a legitimate, almost masochist. We'll call it a muscle masochist. I own that. Let you guys know, I just said it. You heard it from me first. A muscle masochist. That's dope, actually. I'll make sure it's called muscle masochist. I love that. Keep that in there. That's awesome. You need to be a muscle masochist if you want to build some muscle. If you're scared to get in pain or feel discomfort, don't even bother working out. Just don't. Just sit your ass at home and watch somebody else work out. If you want to get the most amount of your workouts, you need to go in there willing to be in muscular pain. All right, now after this massive drop set, you can see how hard this is. Regan can't even keep his arms up and do circles. You know I like this video too? You wanna know how bad someone wants it? This bad. To the point where you can't lift your arms and this hurts and you're still going? The guy wants it. He's going for the Olympia. But you know what? I remember my old coach Neil Hill telling me this before I competed at National, before I won my pro card. He told me, that's your Olympia. No person's goals are greater than anyone else's. That's what you gotta think. Every time you go in the gym, that's your Olympia. That's your championship. You gotta treat it that way. Don't walk into a place thinking that, oh, your workout's not as important as someone else's. My workout's not as important, not more important than yours. Your goals are just as important as my goals. And my goals are as important as yours. That's what you gotta understand. And you gotta take that with pride. Go to your workouts with pride. Going in there knowing I'm in there to go work, get the work done, annihilate myself, go home, recover, and do it again the next day. You know how stiff we are after we do shoulders and we don't do anything after, we just go home after we train? This is a good thing to do at the end of your set just to kind of get that moving around a bit.
Any circles like this? And elbows like back or
Just tuck right underneath the hand.
Boom, I love it. See that? Now we're doing it right underneath the handle. Stack the joints. I need to train with Mike Wick. Mike Wick, I need to train with you, bro. You're good, respect you. I love this. This is my kind of training, right? Stack the joints, push the elbows, a good cue, right? If you want to know if a certain YouTube's talking shit or not, just see what the consistencies are from YouTuber to YouTuber or coach to coach to coach. I should say coach, I should say YouTuber. I'm not gonna include myself in the YouTubers. Yeah, I'm a creator, but I'm a coach first. And so is Mike. You gotta go through each one of our videos and see what's consistent. Who's saying who is right and who's saying who is wrong. Who's consistent with their information. We're very consistent. And I love these cues. And guess what? Look how much weight he's gone there. Not much. Right? Again, guys, we're always gonna say stack the weights. When you're pressing anything, you wanna stack the joints. Elbow, fist, weight. Stack the joints. So pretend my pen is the handlebar and we're going up this way. You should be doing this. Stacking the joints means this. Right? There you go.
Pump tropic complete.
Awesome. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end it right there with my boy Regan in so much pain. Man, hey, great video to watch. If you guys wanna watch some good training, I do recommend going watch Mike Van Wyck. He's good with those guys there at Pure Muscle Fitness. He does some unorthodox stuff that you guys probably haven't seen before. So take some things with a grain of salt if you are a beginner. But a lot of the cues that he gives, anybody can listen to and anybody can take and optimize their training. I definitely like the way he coaches the guys on there. I like the difference in the training, and you can see the changes in their physiques as well too, apart from just throwing up a heavy weight. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video, guys. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You know, become with that title like it is, transparent, vulnerable truth. And for coaching, guys, jonni.shreve.com. My sale, 50% off, is done July 5th. So make sure you guys sign up before my sale is done July 5th. 15% off all of my packages except for consults. But if you want to know what my coach is all about, book yourself a consult, 15 to 30 minutes. You can ask me absolutely everything. And at the end of that consult, if you want to just do one-time plan or continuous coaching, 15% off, 15% off. Also, guys, use my code Jonni15 for 50% off the Power 13 cookbook. Those recipes have been absolutely life-changing. I've been using those recipes in my prep as we speak, and it's been making a big difference. It makes it really easy to stay on task, really easy to really be sustainable, guys. So if you're prepping for a show or you just want to have a good sustainable diet, those are some good recipes in there. Follow me on Instagram at _Jonni_. I've been doing a lot of live videos on there, giving you guys some behind the scenes work from my prep, also some live videos from just actually training. So make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at _Jonni_. Send me your pictures, send me some updates, send me some training, and I will repost it for you guys because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.